Go.
Okay, so the first question, what psychological conflicts drive the character or the plot? So for my book, Son of a Trickster, Jared has to help both his mom and his dad, but they don't really know his life like outside of their home, so that's something like only the reader can see all sides of his life. So yeah.
Okay, so I'm reading Red Rising, and Dara, the main character, begins to have the inability to trust those around him after his wife's death, Io. He begins to feel doubtful of everyone, specifically the Sons of Eris, and experience internal conflicts with himself and his abilities. After his modifications regarding him becoming a gold and infiltrating their ranks, he begins to see himself as the villain, the same gold that killed his wife.
The biggest psychological conflict that's driving character and plot is drug addiction. Jules has an addiction to heroin and is controlling his life and his daughter's life. Due to this addiction, they're living in the way that they are, which is poorly. The way they are. Wait, what? Oh, sorry. the day. That's it, basically, yeah.
So I'm also reading Red Rising, and a psychological conflict that drives the character is when Io dies. So Darrow decides to like rebel against the golds and everything, and digs a grave for his wife and all that. And he finally starts to start seeing the truth about where he actually is from, and how much like of a lie his life has become.
Okay, second question. What significant events have an impact on the character's psyche? Okay, psyche in the story. So in my book, his Jared's grandma treating him kind of different as a child, while also having like alcoholic parents kind of changes his life a little bit, obviously, and him moving to a whole new reserve and having to kind of fend for himself and his family.
Okay, so after his wife's death and his recruitment in the Sons of Eris, after the most significant events in Dara's life, especially after realizing that the Golds have truly taken everything away from them, such as their freedom and their comfort. Because of his newfound discovery of the Golds' lavish lifestyle, he begins to become impacted by the realization that his original belief that the Golds only wanted them to create a better life for everyone was in fact a lie, and a form of manipulating the lower levels to obey to their every command. He becomes enraged and twists himself into a fake reality with his new altered appearance in order to rise to the rankings and change the social construct of their very own society.
So, there were three big events, in my opinion. So, the first one is Baby went to a foster home because her dad had tuberculosis. And so he comes back and he picks her up after like 3 months. And we see that like he says that he's changed, he's gotten off his heroin, he has an apartment now, and we believe that, and Baby believes that. But then it was a lie to get Baby back, and he goes back to his addiction. And he went to rehab because he was caught with heroin on the streets. And the third event was while he was getting arrested, Baby ran across the road to go like hug him, and she didn't look both ways, and a car hit her, and that impacted her mentally and physically.
So just like what Bianca said, basically, is Darrow found out about the secret city above ground, and that's like a very significant event because he finally realizes that he's been used his whole life and he's been injured and all that for literally nothing. And he finds out about the secret city, which means that everything he's been doing is it like basically for nothing, and that he should be living above ground and should be respected for what he's done. But what they do is they just keep using them until they die.
Okay, so number three, which characters exemplified one of the id, ego, or superego at this point in the novel? So in my book, Jared's superego was shown when he had to take care of his niece for a day because he doesn't really deal with kids or like he's not generally a good kid himself. So for him to be like mature and take care of a baby was his superego. And for his id it was when some like kid came into his house really drunk and he kind of wanted to just kick him out right away, but his ego was to let him stay.
Okay, the id for Darrow is focused on his pleasure principle, his need to go back to the way things were and stay with his family while continuing to obey to the Golds' commands. His superego is what drives him to change and stay with the Sons of Eris in order to change the social construct they've lived on their entire life. His ego is what listens to his superego in accordance to his id and chooses to stay with the Sons of Eris to make every other lower ranked colored life a life of unconditional freedom. the freedom he wished his wife could also experience.
So Jules exemplifies id multiple times because when he has an addiction to heroin, so whenever he uses it, he's abusing it, which is the devil himself. And his superego, I guess, is going to rehab again. It's against his will, but it's still gonna better him. And yeah, I think that's his superego.
For me, for Darrow, like it is the same as what Bianca said. It's wanting to go back to being just a regular miner and working down there. His ego, same with Bianca as well, is where he like wants to stay with the Sons of Ares and help out all the lower colors so that they can all live the same life as everyone else. And his superego, Io helped him find it when she sang the Song of Death and told him what to do, because now he realizes that he should be helping out everyone and trying to make it a better lifestyle for literally everyone.
Okay, so number 4, how has the character's mindset changed from the beginning to now? In my book, Jared seems a little more easygoing now than he was, because when he first moved to the reserve, he didn't know very many people, so he kind of just like stayed with either his parents or like his friends, but he met some new people that he didn't think he would like being around, so he's less of like a tough guy and more like nice to everyone. So yeah.
So Darrow's mindset believed that every color lived a certain way and that everyone had an important job on Mars, which was to make the planet fully functioning and completely habitable. After his discovery of the secrets the golds kept hidden from every other color, his mindset changed, and he made a promise to change the system so that every color may eventually experience the same things as what the golds have always experienced.
So Baby's mindset has not changed a lot. She's dealing with the same problems, and she's never really like truly happy, because whenever she is happy, then she goes to a lower low, and then she goes to a higher high and a lower low, and it just keeps on continuing and continuing.
So for the mindset of Darrow, it has changed because, like what Bianca said, he's used to working down in the mines and how every color is socially constructed in a way of what they have to do and what they work for. But now after seeing the city and all that, his mindset changes and he doesn't want it to be like that anymore, because he sees that all the work he's put in is just for nothing, and how everything is a lie, and how he and every one of his colors should be living that same lifestyle.
As you read more, does your perception change on the story? So my perception doesn't really change through my story, but we do get to know like more about the main character, Jared, and his background. The only part where my perception kind of changes is the story kind of starts hinting at his father not really being his biological father.
So my knowledge of this story was that it had about the same or similar plot as The Hunger Games and Divergent. I knew there would be some sort of act of a rebellion, and that there would be a significant change in the story for the better. The color rankings were the only thing that changed my perception of the book after my realization of just how similar the Capitol from The Hunger Games and higher level rankings in Divergent were to the Golds, and just how conniving those in power really are. At first I assumed everyone had a task at hand, no matter the ranking, but I definitely thought wrong.
So my perception, it does change when I read the book, because in the beginning, when we were first introduced to Jules, I thought that he would never get off heroin, and then he picks up a baby from the foster home, so I thought that, oh, he's now off of it, and then he goes back onto it, and he gets off of it again, so Jules keeps on playing with my perception.
For me, my perception's changed quite a lot actually, because it all started off as how they were all just working in the mines. Everyone was like working their jobs that they got from when they were born, basically. But now it's changed pretty significantly, seeing as how everyone's already moved to Mars, which is what Darrow's been working for. And they moved quite a while ago too, so it's changed quite a bit, and I'm definitely thinking that there's going to be something that Darrow's going to have to do about it.
Okay, number 6. Does your character undergo any significant change or development? My main character, he has like a drug business, so it started like kind of growing and getting better for him, I guess. So he starts to expand his circle and like meet new people that he wouldn't expect, and he kind of gained maturity from that.
So Darrow's transition from red to gold was a significant change in development in the story. His act of rebellion and obedience for the better of all the lower ranked people. really stood out and showed just how we as people won't stand to conformity and won't allow ourselves to be forced into a system we have no belief in. Because just as the Golds are proven to be untrustworthy, so is our government, for better or for worse.
So in my story, it's weird because baby, she's going through so much, like more than like any child should go through, but she's not changing. Like life is going crazy, but she's just the same and stays the same.
Yeah, so same thing, like basically exactly the same that Bianca said. He goes from being a red to now changing into a gold so that he can help out and try to change everything. So I'd say that's a pretty significant change for him.
Thank you, Mr. Barrington.